All right, let's jump right in. We're talking about a modern day vampire murder mystery. Four total strangers get pulled into the shadows to solve a crime that could literally shatter the hidden world they're a part of.
So, our story kicks off on what seems like a totally normal night in the Deep South. And no, we're not in Transylvania here. We're in Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah. And it's in this, pretty unassuming city that four brand new vampires, they call themselves Kindred, are about to have their entire night, their entire existence just completely upended.
So you've got these four people, right? Each just trying to get through their night. And then, bam, they each get a summons from this really powerful figure, Sheriff Blackstone. And trust me, this is the kind of call you just don't ignore. It's the kind of call that's about to make their very different worlds collide. Hard. Okay, first up, let's meet Eric Price. This guy, he is really struggling with this whole new vampire thing. He's totally haunted by his old life, a life that left him scarred, both inside and out. But that same past, it gives him this crazy connection to the other side. He has this empathy for the dead that's going to turn out to be a huge deal. Next, we've got Alex Parker. She's the newbie of the group, has only been a vampire for a couple of months. And you can tell, she's still doing things like brushing her teeth out of habit. There's this nervous energy just buzzing around her as she tries to figure out this whole dark, new world she's been thrown into. Meanwhile, over at the Washington Funeral Home, you have Gabriel. He's stoic, professional, just quietly doing his work with the deceased when his night gets interrupted. A phone call comes in, and it's a warning about a sensitive situation that's on its way. For Gabriel, hey, it's just another body to handle. Or at least that's what he thinks. And rounding out our crew, we have Detective Frost. This guy is literally straight out of a classic noir film. Picture it, he's brooding, probably staring out at the city when there's a knock at the door. The message is simple. The sheriff needs a detective, and Frost is his man. So these four complete strangers get yanked from their nights and brought to Gabriel's mortuary. And who's waiting for them? Sheriff Blackstone. He doesn't waste any time. He just points to a gurney, and on that gurney is the whole reason they're there. A young woman, dead. And she is the epicenter of a massive, massive problem. The sheriff just lays it all out. A masquerade breach has happened. Now, you gotta understand, this is the number one cardinal sin in their world. It's the one rule that keeps them all safe, that keeps them hidden. For centuries, this masquerade has kept humans from finding out about the monsters living right beside them. But now, some vampire got sloppy, killed a mortal, and just left the body to be found. This threatens everybody. It's a raging fire, and our team has just been handed the bucket. So who's the victim? Her name is Marissa Littleton. We find out she was working at this hotel called The Rack, which, by the way, is supposed to be a safe, controlled feeding spot for vampires. Key word there is supposed to be. Clearly, tonight something went very, very wrong. All right, so Detective Frost, who absolutely hates modern tech, finds the victim's phone. And here's where we get a great little moment showing how this team is starting to click. Frost spots some oily residue on the number 8 button. Gabriel, meanwhile, glances at her ID, sees her address, 888 First Street, and puts 2 and 2 together. The password is all 8s. And boom, just like that, they're in the phone. Okay, so now that they have access to her phone, the team knows where to go next. They head straight for room 118 at the Rack Hotel. This was the last place Marissa Littleton was seen alive. Now, the first really big clue they find isn't actually in the room. It's down in the security office. Turns out the hallway cameras went on the fritz for exactly half an hour, right around the time of the murder. How convenient, right? Well, for Frost, this isn't just a coincidence. No way. This screams Nosferatu, a whole clan of vampires known for messing with technology and, being super sneaky. Then, once they're inside the room itself, Frost's detective instincts kick in big time. He can see that the whole scene is staged. It's supposed to look like some big, violent struggle, but it's just too neat. A blanket that should be ripped is actually folded. He realizes this wasn't some rage-filled attack. No, this was a mistake, and it was followed by a whole lot of panic. But then comes the biggest break in the case, and it's something no normal cop could ever find. Using their, vampire senses, Gabriel and Eric realize they're not alone in the room. There are eyewitnesses. And get this, they're 3 ghosts from the early 1900s, stuck right there in that room. So Gabriel can see these ghosts, but that's it. But Eric realizes he can actually talk to them.
So he walks over to the corner, starts asking questions, and believe it or not, these spirits are more than happy to talk. They start describing the man who was with Marissa right before she died.
Thanks to the ghosts, the team starts building a profile of their suspect. He's tall, dark-skinned, and he bolted out of there in a total panic, even leaving his phone behind. Oh, and the spirits give them one very, very memorable detail. A giant, colorful lion tattoo on his butt. Yep. So the spirits point them right to the suspect's phone, an old flip phone. They do a quick check against Marissa's phone, and sure enough, they find a shared contact named Baby. So that confirms they knew each other. But what's even more interesting is a contact on his phone that's not on hers. Someone just called Plug. Okay, so while everyone else is busy talking to ghosts and hacking old phones, Alex is taking a more old-school approach. She heads down to the hotel bar to see what she can dig up. And a little chat with a drunk guy at the end of the bar, it pays off big time. She gets another huge lead. So suddenly, the team has two really solid leads they can act on. First, thanks to Alex, they know about the suspect's car. It's a bright green and yellow box Chevy. Yeah, real subtle. That's seen a lot in the Ensley neighborhood. And the second lead? It's that mystery contact, Plug. Frost uses a bit of, let's call it blood magic, to trace that number to an old uniform store. So now they have these two great leads, and they've got a choice to make, a really critical one. See, Sheriff Blackstone told them to just report back with whatever they found. So do they do that? Or do they chase down these leads themselves and try to build a rock-solid case? Detective Frost, he's all for pushing forward. He knows from experience that clients, especially powerful ones like the sheriff, can jump the gun. He thinks if they just hand over leads, Blackstone might act rashly. He wants to bring him a suspect. But the others? They're pretty nervous about disobeying a direct order from, the guy who basically owns them. And that is exactly where we leave this unlikely team, standing at a crossroads. The choice they make next isn't just going to shape the investigation. It could decide the fate of their suspect, their own future in this dangerous city, and maybe even the future of that fragile piece they call the masquerade. So, the question is, what would you do?